Well, hi gang, Mr. G here, and today we're going to talk about rough tuning. Um, there are only 3 steps left in building our steel pan, and all of the sort of the manufacturing of the instrument is pretty much done. We're done creating the main shape of the instrument and cutting the skirt and all of that, but the biggest and hardest job is yet to come because rough tuning is the longest and most difficult process for me anyway. Uh, and I'll tell you about that in a second. But I wanted to show you what this instrument sounds like when it just comes off the fire, because this doesn't sound like a steel pan yet. And now I have already poked around in here just a little bit and found the fundamental pitches for my D. My C and my D. So those were just experiments that I did early on to just check the steel and how malleable the steel was. But this is the way the instrument sounds just off the fire. So you can tell that each note area has definitely its own pitch, but that they're not of any sort of specific pitch, and that there's no harmonics tuned into them. They don't. It doesn't have the sound of a modern steel pan or even a steel pan from 35 or 40 years ago. So I have a big job ahead of me, and I want to tell you about what that big job is going to be. Now, rough tuning involves both shaping the note and bringing two or three elements of that note into tune at one time. It's walking and chewing gum and juggling and on a surfboard. That's what it is. It's doing many things at one time. And that's why I consider it to be so magical that the experienced tuners that I'll show you in a minute are able to do this so quickly. But you know, I have to take all these notes and try to get the fundamental pitch in line and try to get the harmonics to appear where they're supposed to appear. And also I'm trying to smooth the note surface. I'm trying to make, basically this is final shaping. And so I try to, we're going to try to get rid of all the little micro dents that are in the metal right now, because that'll produce a better surface for the note to vibrate and a cleaner sound. So that's the balancing act I was telling you about in the video I made on tuning, what they're trying to accomplish when they tune. This is the first time that occurs, and it requires that you manipulate the metal in so many different ways at the same time that you'll see the experts in a minute do this, and my job just drops with how fast that they're able to process this and manipulate the metal and get those harmonics into tune. So let me tell you what my experience has been with rough tuning, because I don't have very much. My experience was that the last time I built a pan, which was 35 years ago, I made a 4th and 5th tenor, and Ellie Manette was sort of teaching the workshop that I was at. And my build was, it was all right. It wasn't as good as this, and I didn't take my time on it as much as I should have. But it was tunable, and I was able to get all of the fundamental pitches with no problem. Fundamental pitch, getting that is pretty easy. And if you listen to steel pans from like the 1950s and into the 1960s, you'll hear that most of them had only the fundamental and not the harmonics tuned into them. And then it wasn't until the mid-70s, around the 1970s, we started hearing the instrument get the harmonics built into them and stuff. But I had a really rough time 35 years ago trying to find any harmonics and trying to get them into the right places on my notes. And Ellie Manette had to just come watch me over the shoulder and tell me what to do. And I got lucky on a couple of notes, but basically, it just was very difficult for me. Now, I'm lucky that I have some friends who are professional builders and tuners, and they've offered me little tidbits of advice here and there, to how to get started. And they've also, there's a couple of them with video available online. And so I'm going to show you some of the video of the way that they work, and I'm going to have to study that video a lot. So I'm not going to dig into this with too much haste. I'm going to make sure that I study the way that they're manipulating their notes, especially the rim notes. That's the hardest part, is these rim notes. And once I have some sense and develop a little bit of confidence, I'm going to try my hand at bringing a few of these lower notes into place, and we'll see how it goes. But check this out. Now I'm going to put these clips together so that you can see the process in kind of, like it's time lapse. But check this out. Isn't that just amazing? And they can take one of those pans from scratch like this and make it rough tuned in an hour and a half, and it's going to take me weeks because I'm going to go slow and I'm going to try to learn as I do it. And so I just have the utmost respect for the tuners, primarily for this particular step, the rough tuning process. I can take a pan that's been tuned already and sort of maintain it and keep it in tune, but to get it to that point where it's the right shape and the harmonics are where they are supposed to be and the fundamental sounds good and that the notes are interacting with each other the way that they should be, that is the true mastery of tuning steel pan to me. And so I have utmost respect for these guys who can do that. And I'm just going to try my hand at it. I'm going to go slow and I'm going to study those videos and see how I do. So I'll check back in with you in a couple of 3 weeks if I've got something to show you that I've accomplished with this process, and we'll see how it goes. And until that time, I want to remind you that we're all staying home for a reason, and it's to save lives. And so keep doing your part, and we'll get through this thing, and we'll have a little pan here left as a part of the deal. So keep your stick on the ice, and I'll talk to you later. Ciao!